Hey there, Cayman Climate Champions. Welcome back to a brand new adventure with me, Bella, your Climate Ranger. Today we are here at Cayman's first ever sustainable community to learn a little bit more about renewable energy with our renewable energy expert. I'm ready. Are you? Let's go. Today we are here at the Periwinkle community to talk to CREA, so Cayman Islands Renewable Energy Association President James Whittaker. Hi James Whittaker.
Hey Bella, how you doing?
Thanks for coming today.
No problem, happy to be here.
This is a beautiful community and also sustainable.
Very sustainable, one of the most sustainable communities in Cayman. Every house has solar energy, and the houses are what we call LEED certified, so they're built to a green standard.
Wow, that's amazing. So obviously, we have a pretty big need for a property like this and more in Cayman Islands. And so tell us, how much energy do we produce here in Cayman, both renewably and non-renewably?
Yeah, so in Cayman, there's about 97% of our energy produced using diesel energy, which is fossil fuels, and 3% of it is renewable energy, primarily solar. Okay,
so that's a lot of energy, but not leaned in the favor of sustainability quite yet.
Yeah, we certainly would want to be the opposite way around. We'd love to have 97%, ideally 100% of our energy produced by renewables, but we have to basically get there over the next, 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay, and carbon dioxide, we've been learning about greenhouse gases, and carbon dioxide is one of the more problematic gases, right?
Yeah.
So how much do we produce as a country? How much carbon dioxide do we produce as a country and individually?
Yeah. So as a country, we produce about 1.1 million tons of carbon dioxide, and that's also quite high on a per capita basis. So it's about 13 tons per capita. And so for Cayman's perspective, that actually puts us up worldwide to the top 25 worst producers of carbon in the world.
Wow, and for such 3 tiny little islands, that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's way too high. We need to get down, based on our targets that we're trying to push for from a policy perspective, we need to get down to about 4 tons per person.
And per person / per capita. So
per capita
means per person.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's keep wandering down through the gardens and see a little bit more of Periwinkle.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, we are here in front of one of the cottages.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful, and it looks like a piece of old Cayman, doesn't it?
It does, intentionally so.
I love that. So bright, so colorful. So, our national energy policy. As a country, we have a policy that we have aims and goals that we're trying to achieve. So what is the time frame of our policy, and what are some of the goals we're trying to achieve?
Yeah. So right now we want to get to 70% renewable energy by 2037, and we want to get to 100% renewable energy by 2045.
Wow, big goals.
Big goals, but doable. We just have to be aggressive and committed to it, but it's achievable.
And we're joining the rest of the world with these goals too, right?
Correct. Places like Hawaii already have 100% by 2045 renewable energy targets, and they're already well on their way. Some of their islands are already 70% renewable energy today, whereas we're 3%.
Wow, so we're a little slow to the start, but we're gonna get there.
Absolutely.
Okay, positivity. And I am wondering, what forms of renewable energy are we hoping to use and harness in order to get these goals?
So every island has its own energy mix based on what your resources happen to be. Here in Cayman, our predominant resource is solar. So we don't have mountains and we don't have geothermal and things like that, but solar, some wind and some marine, but predominantly solar.
Okay, and what in terms of wind? Are we talking big wind turbines?
Typically, yes. So we think that there's about 30 megawatts of wind that makes sense to build and for it to help lower the cost of energy. That'll be on the east end of the island where there's the most wind. Predominantly throughout the rest of the island, it'll be solar on homes, on businesses, in parking lots, and eventually some solar farms as well.
Okay, and what about marine? What kind of options do we have for Cayman in terms of marine renewable energy?
Yeah. So Cayman has very deep water, and there is a technology out there called OTEC, Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion. And so it's never really been deployed at large scale before, but the technology does work. And so as that technology is able to be deployed in a larger sense, it can also help drive down the cost of energy. And because we have very deep water, it makes sense for us. So it's something that's being explored.
Okay, we might as well utilize everything we have here.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's head over to the clubhouse and finish up our last 2 questions.
Let's go.
Okay. Oh, well, this is such a beautiful part of the property here, surrounded by so many green plants and hibiscus flowers. What was special when you were choosing what kind of plants to put in the landscape?
Yeah, so with this community, because the community is designed to LEED standards, most of the plants here are very drought tolerant, meaning they require very little water beyond just the rainfall, and some don't require any water at all beyond the rainfall. So what it does is it reduces the amount of water that you need to use for landscaping.
And that reduces 50 other things and keeps it super sustainable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the outcomes of our national energy policy, what are some of the outcomes that we're hoping to see?
So obviously the big one is we want to switch our electricity generation from fossil fuels to renewables. So we want every home, every parking lot, every business, we want to see solar everywhere. And so in addition to having the energy that goes onto our electricity grid be much more sustainable and greener, and for solar farms to be giving us energy, we also want to use much less of the energy. So you want your homes to be as energy efficient as possible, to use as least grid energy that you need. So through energy efficiency measures and having solar at your own home, you can minimize how much energy you actually need from the grid. And so that's what we hope to achieve, so that, you know, when you're driving through Cayman here in a few years, everywhere you look, there's solar.
And remind me, we want to have these solar panels on the houses, not out in big solar fields.
So there has to be a balance of both. Ideally, we want to focus first on existing developed space. That's parking lots, that's your roof, that's places that are already man-modified. We do have to build solar farms as well, which does take up a lot of land. But we want to make sure that we've used all the existing developed space that we can first, and then minimize the impact on the environment by building big solar farms. But both has to be done, and there has to be a balance of both. One of the key things about building solar farms here in Cayman is you also want to build those on ideally man-modified places of land. So for example, these construction quarries, once you've exhausted them, it's ideal to then come behind and put the solar farms there.
Right, so not cutting down beautiful pieces of forest, but already using man-made dug-up areas.
Cutting down forests and mangroves to then put on solar panels doesn't do anything for the environment.
Doesn't make much sense.
No.
Okay, so lastly, what is the future of Cayman that you hope to see in terms of energy and our CO2 output?
I hope to see every home, every parking lot have solar. I hope to see people using 50, 60, 70% less energy from the grid. The energy they use from the grid, I want that to be as renewable energy as possible. And I think once we have that as an energy future, the byproduct of that is that our emissions are going to go way down. And so we want to meet our emission targets of 4 tons per capita as well. And so that's the future that I see for the national energy policy. And in addition to that, that's going to create jobs and careers and all of these things around a green industry as well.
Right. It's whole encompassing. Everybody's connected. The environmental benefit will benefit. Jobs will benefit, the economy will benefit, it's all interlinked, right?
The national energy policy is going to provide social, economic, and environmental benefits for everyone.
I love that. Thank you so much for talking to us today, James. I know you're super busy, so we'll let you get on with your day.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Remember, you are empowered and capable of making meaningful changes every day to help the future of our islands. Now, make sure you turn off your lights before you leave the house and look into anything you can think to reduce your carbon footprint here in the Cayman Islands. I'll see you later, Climate Rangers.